I'm going to share some ideas with you today in 90 minutes like that can change your life. Now, if you're anything like me, you probably think, I don't know, that sounds like a bit of an exaggeration. But you know, when people change their lives, that's about how long it takes. It's just a thought. Thought is the preamble to everything. And as we change our thinking, our whole life changes. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to run through a few ideas about what happened to me. How did my life change? Because it changed dramatically. And then I spent about 9 years trying to figure out what the heck happened to me. After I figured it out, then I decided I wanted to teach it. So for the past 42 years, I have traveled all over the world teaching the ideas that I'm going to share with you today. Now, we've condensed this for a 90-minute presentation, but as you get looking into it, you'll realize that you can follow each one of these paths that I put you on and take you down a little further. There's one quote that literally changed the course of my life. It was by Andrew Carnegie. He said, any idea that is held in the mind, that's emphasized, that's either feared or revered, will begin at once to clothe itself in the most convenient and appropriate form available. Now, the key part there is that's either feared or revered. Some people attract a lot of problems into their life. Other people attract a lot of joy and a lot of beauty into their life. But they're both doing it by exactly the same law. They're following exactly the same strategy, but they've made wrong choices. Now, until I was 26, I didn't understand any of this information at all. I often mention that I was on the wrong side of the road. I was picking up speed, and I was going in the wrong direction. Things were just going from bad to worse. And then I was introduced to this book. I have the book here. It's Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Now, this particular copy I have been reading since 1963. I had another copy for a couple of years before that. But I just keep reading this book over and over and over again. You'll see the book is literally falling apart. Now you'd say, well, how could you keep reading the same thing? Well, you see, as we read these kind of books, we change. And as we change, we see something totally different. It's like, I think Wayne Dyer put it very well. He said, when you change the way you look at something, the thing you look at changes. Well, that book just keeps changing in my life. Now, I had a gentleman that saw something in me that I wasn't capable of seeing myself way back in 1961. He introduced me to this book, and then he suggested, he said, if you follow the ideas here, they'll literally change the course of your life. And he pointed out that Hill had a phenomenal vision, and I immediately began to follow Napoleon Hill's teachings. He pointed out to me my way wasn't working, why didn't I try his? And so that made some sense to me, and I decided I would. Then he pointed out that Hill had a huge vision, and he had very powerful friends. And he said, you know, if you will lock in to what this man is talking about and writing about, he said, your life will change forever. He got me to look at what Edison pointed out, because Edison was one of Hill's friends. And Edison said, if you did, or if we did all the things we were capable of doing, we would literally astonish ourselves. I think it's time that we do astonish ourselves. I think there's too many people just sort of tiptoeing through life, hoping they make it safely to death. We should step out and really bet on the surest thing in the world, which is ourselves. Now, when Ray Stanford was the man's name, when he got me to sit down and do this, he got me to write an R on a sheet of paper. But before he did that, he pointed out, he said, listen, Napoleon Hill had powerful friends. He said these were his mastermind partners. Then he asked, who are yours? Well, I didn't even know what a mastermind was, so I didn't know what he was talking about. He proceeded to explain to me that the mastermind group was a group of people that were all in harmony, they were in harmonious way of thinking, and they helped one another. And that's when he really got me to take a look at myself. And he put an R on a sheet of paper, and then he put 3 letters down beside it, 2 H's and a W. Now, he said, Bob, let this represent happiness, health, and wealth. And then he asked me if I thought I was a happy person. And I said, no. He asked me if I thought he was, and I said, yeah. He said, have you ever seen me sick? And I said, no. He said, I've never seen you, and you're healthy. He said, do you think I'm a happy person? I said, yeah, you seem pretty happy to me, and he did. And he said, have you ever seen me broke? And I had to admit I hadn't. Now, when he pointed to happy, health, and wealth, I really was unhappy, sick, and broke. At the time, I was earning $4,000 a year, and I owed $6,000. Now, that is not a good position to be in. This was in 1961. I had absolutely no hope of changing the situation. The idea, if I was going to change my situation, I would have had to take every cent I earned for 18 months to pay debts. And I didn't owe it all in one place. I owed it all over the place. So people were forever phoning, you know, where's the money? And I used to think, God, if I knew where the money was, you wouldn't have to phone me. Now, there's a lot of people live that way. He said, you know, you can change anything you want. He said, your whole life can change. And so I started to study that book, and I started to think of why I could win and not why I couldn't. You see, I had gone to high school for 2 months, so I had virtually no formal education. I had absolutely no business experience. I had a bad work record. Things were not good. But you know, I have come to the conclusion a whole lot of people are in that position in the world. They really are. The no formal education, poor work record, no business experience, and they're desperately trying to change what's going on. And they don't know how to change. I didn't know how to change. I was stuck. I had no concept of how to improve it. Yet he said, if you listen to what this man's teaching, if you study it, your whole life will change. Now, he pointed out, he said, there's a secret in that book. Right in the front of it, Hill talks about it. He said, if you can find the secret in the book, you can have anything you seriously wanted. Well, all I wanted at that time was some money. I figured if I could get these bill collectors off my back, things would improve. So that's really what I was focusing on. You know, a year later, I was earning $175,000 a year, and then I took it over $1 million a year. Now, quite a number of years later, I was featured in the movie The Secret. That was a phenomenon. It's all over the world. There's hardly a country. I was talking to some people the other day from Iran. They told me I was famous in Iran. I've never been to Iran. But in Asia, in India, all over the world. Now, the same guy that was having difficulty, earning 4, owed 6, here he is, 45 years later, his whole life changed.